Hey Nick, how are you?
Hey, how you going?
Good, thanks. It's been a short while actually. It seems like just yesterday when we spoke about number 13 and its predecessor.
Yeah,
But you,
it's like what we do. Yeah, I mean, people tell me, yeah, it's 5 years since. Yeah, it's like, okay, fuck you.
it seems
Hey, is your cam? Are you cam? Should I be putting my camera? Are you straight up on your
yeah,
camera, or is it
you're
is
perfect.
it better? Um, is it better that way, or what?
That's better. Yeah, yeah. We'll go that way. How have you been?
Yeah, good, good. Just yeah, same old, really.
Yeah. It's a
You know.
fantastic sounding album. I'm really enjoying it at the minute. We've had it for
Oh, awesome.
few weeks over here, and obviously it's released now. But the number of
Yeah,
people
yeah.
coming to me and saying this is a seriously good one. It's well worth the wait. It hopefully you're
Oh,
getting
great.
those kind of comments as well.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of positivity around it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It just went to number one now in Switzerland,
Mm.
in the charts here, and it's yeah, it's yeah, getting a lot of radio too. So around Europe and stuff. So it's yeah, we're pretty happy about it. Yeah,
I was just talking
which
to
that's one of these things you got no idea when you make an album. I mean, you just don't
no,
know. You
sure.
just throw it there and see what happens.
Yeah.
So,
Always seem to do well in Switzerland and Germany, especially. But
yeah,
we
yeah,
try
they're the two biggest ones.
try and
Yeah,
crank the
yeah, yeah.
charts down here. I was just talking to Dave Gleason the other day, and he reminded me that you guys supported the Screaming Jets way back when in the form of Maeder uh,
In
many years ago.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for
must,
sure.
must have some good memories of those times still. It's
Absolutely. Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. Heaps. I mean, heaps of great memories. I mean, it's a shame actually. It's been something like 8 years since I came back to Australia.
okay.
I was just figuring it out before. I was just thinking, oh yeah, it's at like 8 years. But yeah, no, great memories, and yeah, for sure.
Yeah, your
Well,
time.
I mean, a lot of bands we played with back then, and um, I remember doing stuff, we did doing stuff with Airborne back in the day as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
and yeah, yeah. I mean, they were great. They were great times.
It was a
Yeah,
great scene, wasn't it? It sort of still is as well over here.
yeah,
We're getting like a bit of a resurgence. All the old names come back, but there's the bringing a few young
yeah,
ones in this time. So Airborne, a band who I accidentally stumbled upon, I think either their first or second gig in their
yeah,
hometown. I was driving through and stopped off for a beer, and there were these scruffy looking guys playing some
yeah,
damn good
yeah, yeah.
music, and yeah, it turned out to be Airborne. But
Well, I catch up with them quite, now and again in Switzerland or in Europe.
yeah,
If we're playing on the same, I mean, all the kind of all the sort of hard rock festivals throughout Europe, and there's lots of them,
yeah,
and there's just kind of a circuit that we all do, and so we run into a lot of bands that we know and stuff. So I've run into Airborne quite a few times. Had a few kind of wild nights with those boys quite a few times over the years. So.
it's yeah,
Yeah, great memories.
fantastic to hear. Let's talk about the album though. I mean, I think as soon as I heard Thunder and Lightning, I knew we were in for a good one. But 5 years is a while. So
Yeah.
where did it all start? What is some of that music 5 years old, or is it all comparatively fresh?
Um, Actually, the only one that's 5 years old probably would be the Beatles cover. You
Oh,
know
okay.
that. Yeah, we'd had that for quite a while, just as a demo. It was an idea that Leo had, and we had that. That's the only one that we had. But no, we there was a few reasons. I mean, of course, COVID was we'd sort of lost a lot of time there, and um, because normally, I mean, this band would always, it was always sort of, one album, album year, touring year, album year, touring year. It was like that kind of since the '90s. So never really stopped. So the whole COVID thing just kind of put the brakes on everything. And just kind of like, okay, things kind of slowed down, and and then when we started up again after a couple of years, we had to do all the shows that we cancelled, and plus all the new stuff that came in, and so we had quite a lot to do. and also we just finished. We had a couple of albums with Sony Music, and that contract was over, so we were kind of free, and we didn't have any pressures from any record companies or anything. So we just kind of, we waited until we really wanted to make an album, and
Yes, that's reason.
and uh, and we sort of started, I think, back in maybe mid or end of 2023 or something. We started just writing some songs just for fun, and then we sort of had enough songs that we and stuff that we liked enough that we thought, hey, why don't we, let's get serious about it. And then in 2024, so last year, we just thought, hey, let's go for it. Let's really make an album, and we had a lot of stuff. We had something like, I think we demoed about over 20 songs or something. So, and then we recorded, even during the production. I think we even recorded more than it's on the album. I think we recorded 17 songs or something.
That's more than you need.
And then just cut it down to 12, and just kept really not just the best, but also what would kind of work best together, and what we felt was fit together the best. And here it is.
It's
we're pretty happy
danger,
with it.
I think, in our neck of the woods, is in serious danger of being our album of the year at the minute. It's there's some wonderful stuff on there. I've got to ask you though about everyone's asking me, ask Nick about this, ask Nick about that. But the one question that's coming through from most people is, there's a Beatles cover on there, and then you've got the song Liverpool as well. What's going on there? I love it.
Yeah, I think that's. I think it's kind of a coincidence, but of course we're all we're definitely we're all Beatles fans, for sure. And I mean, Leo Leone, he even credits the Beatles for, he says that he wouldn't be playing guitar if it wasn't for the Beatles. So he's even. I mean, I'm a big fan. We're all big fans, but I mean, he's a really another level. He's really a huge fan. Hence, I mean, it's not the first Beatles song that we that we have, on an album, and so. But Liverpool was just actually came from Chris Von Rohr, who's the bass player from from Krokus, who used to produce the band back in the early days, and we did that song with him together, and he sort of brought this song and said, hey, let's work on this thing, and he had pretty clear ideas on how he wanted that song to be, and he wanted it to be called Liverpool. I mean, it was him. He'd sort of said, I want a song, I really want to make a song called Liverpool. and so that's kind of how it all worked out,
So it's a wonderful song, like everything else on there. And I've always over the years loved the way that Gotthard do a cover. For me, if you're going to do a cover, you've got to make it your own. There's no point just reproducing what's already been done. And Drive My Car's up there with Mighty Quinn and stuff like that. For me, it's
it's worked out really good. And the thing is, it wasn't even really meant to be on the album, because, as I said, it was a demo that we'd had 4 or 5 years ago or something, and I think it was even before COVID, and it just happened to get onto the list. We were putting the list together of the songs that we were thinking about using for the album, and as just demos at that point, and somehow Drive My Car got on the list. So I think Leo put it on the list, and we had no idea it was even on the list. And so Charlie Balfine, the producer, once he got the list and he started going through everything and started to he was making his short list of what songs should be on the album, and he put that one in. He was like, this. He said, this is a killer. You got to do this one. You really got to do this one. And we were all like, oh, forgot about that. Totally, forgot that we had that. And so it was just, I think kind of Leo was sneaky and kind of put it on the list somehow,
I think he's instincts.
and I'm glad he did. I'm really glad he did, because it turned out really good,
He did. I mean, you're sounding better than ever as well on the album. I love Burning Bridges. You sound particularly great on that song, and I think after a few plays, it's probably that and Thunder and Lightning, probably my two favorite on the album. Have you got a
Yeah,
particular
it seems to
favorite?
come up a lot. Yeah, yeah. Burning Bridges it's the only song on the album that I wrote just
Hmm.
completely on my own,
Okay.
and um, I'd had this. I had this the kind of piano riff, this piano line that just keeps going around, and I had that for a really long time, and it always sounded to me like it was, I don't know, like it sounded like something, but I could never figure out what, and I still haven't, and I don't know what. Um, and it took me a while to actually put a song to it, and put a whole song to it, and I eventually did, and I wasn't really, because I've been writing my own stuff, kind of my own solo stuff as well, and slowly, I was never kind of, haven't thought yet about actually releasing a solo album or anything yet, but I've got stuff. I'm writing. I'm always writing stuff and collecting songs and things, and this was supposed to be just for my own, just for myself really. And then Freddie in the band, he heard it. He was at my house one day and he sort of heard it and he went, "Wow, we got, you got to bring this one in. You have to take it, and so that's sort of how it came in, and so it's got, yeah, that one's quite a close to my heart. That one, I'll
Yeah,
say, yeah.
it's a fantastic song. It's the one a lot of people that I've had the record playing, and they've come back to that one and they've said, yeah, that's so. Yeah, you might have some more stuff locked away there that we need to hear.
I've got a lot actually.
You got a
Yeah.
massive tour kicking off very shortly in May, out with a few of my favourite bands. I love Krokus, saw them a few
Yeah.
years ago, and Y&T, another wonderful one, and Axis as well. I always thought were a bit underrated. You on the road with those guys as well,
Yeah, well, I mean, there's
and
it's a
Eclipse as
great thing, I
well.
think.
With your bands. Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah,
and
Eclipse as well. Yeah,
Eclipse
yeah,
as
as
well.
well. Which we played with them. I think, yeah, last couple of years that we in the same festivals and stuff, and we got along really well with them. Yeah, I mean, there's heat. There's, it's. I know in Australia maybe the rock world, or kind of the hard rock world is not as huge, but in Europe
Mm.
it's man, there's so many festivals. There's so many, like, all throughout Europe, and there's so many of these bands, and a lot of these older bands too. But in Europe, it's like it's really happening, and so it's great. So there's you get to play with a lot of great bands, and you get to meet a lot of great, you meet a lot of bands that you kind of grew up listening to as well, which is fantastic. So yeah, really looking forward to it, and also when you're touring with bands, you it's great. You get to really know them. You get to know each other really well. And we've never had any bad experiences with anyone we've toured. It's always been great fun, and we meet great characters and stuff. So yeah,
We still dream that one day we will get Gotthard down under. Eric and Co have been over a couple of times now. I guess it's a long way to come though, isn't it?
yeah, it's yeah, that's the thing. But I would love to as well, obviously, and I think the closest we come to is Japan, and whenever we're in Japan, I always say, guys, it's not that much further, we could just,
Yeah.
you um, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah,
It, uh,
there's a lot of places I would like to go and play as well, but yeah,
yeah. Last time we spoke, which was many years ago, and I always try and never repeat a question I ask anyone. There were a few questions that I tend to ask everyone that I never got the chance to ask you. So I'm going to level a few of
yeah,
them with you now. They're the ones
yeah,
that we put on the radio as well, because we've got a radio show. So the first one is
yeah.
and this one's all one that always intrigues me because the answers are so diverse. Where did it all start for you? When did you know that you were going to do something with music that was going to be more than let's say just a pastime? What was the moment it really clicked for you?
Um, I mean, I remember this specifically. I was actually living in Europe at the time because I grew up back and forth between Australia and Switzerland, and I was living in Switzerland at the time, and I must have been, I'd say, about 11 years old, and I'd heard, Back in Black album had from AC/DC had just come out, and I heard Hell's Bells on the radio, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" It's like that just completely blew my mind. And then I sort of worked out who the band was, and I bought a cassette, back then, little cassettes and stuff, and I must have played that thing a trillion times, and that was it. No, I was just obsessed. But I was a guitarist in the beginning, so I wanted to play guitar, and then I picked up the guitar at about 12 years old, 12, 11 or something. I don't know, a bit later, maybe 12, 13.
Yeah.
And yeah, and just taught myself. And then at that stage, I was living back in Australia, and I just had, the whole, as many AC/DC records as I could have. And I would just, of course, back then it was on the, record. So you had to
Yeah.
put the needle back, what's that chord? Shit, what's that one? And just kind of do it all with a needle and trying to figure out what, just kind of taught myself that way, really. And that's how it all started, and I mean, my bedroom walls were just covered in AC/DC posters and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and you name it. It was and I was just completely got obsessed into that world, and that's how it began, really.
And it must help as a
You know,
singer as well, being a guitarist with the songwriting as well. But you mentioned that Burning Bridges started off on the piano, so you
yeah,
picked.
well, my dad's a piano player, so I always grew up with a piano in the house.
Yeah.
So I'd actually started playing. They tried to put me through a conservatory when I was 8 years old, and I kind of didn't last long. But I always loved to play, it was always fun playing with my dad, but when it got it was a funny thing, actually, because my when I was at the conservatory, my piano teacher, uh, after I quit, said to my dad, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. He'll probably pick up the guitar in a few years." Which is exactly what happened. Yeah. So,
Well,
somehow he knew. It was a little bit strict for me, but
no.
but nevertheless, stuck with playing piano. I do a lot of my songwriting happens on the piano, actually. And I'm by no means I'm not a good piano player or anything. I can just, it's good for chords and stuff, and I can sing along and whatever. But I don't consider myself a piano player. Not a real one.
If you could have been a fly on the wall for the creation of any great album in the history of rock and roll, what would you love to have seen being made in the studio? Are you going to go back to Back in Black? Is that the one that interests
I
you?
was just thinking that. Yeah, I was just absolutely thinking that, and probably, yeah, I would. That's probably. I mean, that's my first love, And the thing is, I'm not the only one. I think, with that album being the first love.
Well, I
But
mean,
yeah,
yeah, you're my 2039th interview over the last 15 years, and I reckon that between Back in Black and Sergeant Pepper, you pretty
yeah,
much covered half the ground out of all those interviews. It's
that's
those
yeah. I
two
mean,
albums.
yeah, absolutely,
It's been,
absolutely, yeah, yeah, and I understand why. Yeah.
and I'll leave you with an easy one. I didn't know how long we had, but easiest question we always save to last. What is the meaning of life?
Well, when you find out, let me know. Give me a call.
That sounds good. We, we'd thank you so much for talking to the Rockpit today, Nick. It's been fantastic. I'm going to go
Cheers.
back now and just put the album on again. So that's how much I like it.
Oh,
Thank you so much, Nick. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I reckon big things with
cool.
this
Thanks a
album.
lot, mate.
This is wonderful. I loved 13. I've loved everything you've done, but to me, this is right album, right time. Let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Yeah, absolutely. Bring rock back.
Yeah, let's get it back
Anyway,
any way we
all
can.
right. Thanks.
Thanks so much, my friend. Talk to you soon.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Bye.
Cheers.